Hey there all my tarot junkies. Thank you for tuning into my channel today. My name is Ms. Wheats, and on this video we're going to be talking about the Tarot Tribe Tag. This tag was created by V-Love and Crystals, the Tarot Vibe Oracle, and the Tarot Magician. If you're interested in that, then keep on watching. Okay, so I've got my cell phone in front of me so I can read off the questions, and it may take me some time. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible, these answers. They're going to just kind of go off the top of my head. I did write notes, but I was like, nah, I'm just going to go off the top of my head. So let's just go ahead and start with question number 1. How did you get into tarot or oracle? Okay, so I can start off by saying that at the age 12, my mother was into tarot. At the time, I didn't know what tarot was. I didn't know anything about it. I think she tried to tell me some things about it, and I just was a kid. I wanted to go outside and play, and I just didn't have the time, and I tried to learn a little bit about it, but it was just a little overwhelming for me, and I wasn't serious, and like I said, I was just a kid at the time. Fast forward, had a few things happen to me in life, like, to me, unexplainable things. One of them being astral projection when I was sleeping at night at the age about 15. And there was no YouTube back then, so when I looked everything up, you know, it turned out there was a name for it called astral projection. And, you know, one thing kind of led to another, like astral projection, and then like chakras, and then I learned about just different words started popping up, like meditation, intuition, and with the word intuition you get like tarot. And I just ran into a bunch of tarot videos and like the tarot community, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. Second question, are you drawn to oracle or tarot more, and why? I am drawn to tarot cards more. Why is because, like I said, my mom did it first, and that's what I was introduced to first. I didn't know what oracle cards were at first. Back when I was 12, I didn't know. I knew what tarot cards were. I knew what I kind of knew what they were for, but I had never even heard of an oracle. So I was just more familiar with tarot from a young age. I knew a lot of what the majors represented already before I actually started doing tarot at age 12. But like I said, it was just too overwhelming for me. But eventually I stepped into it. But ironically, my first purchase deck, which is actually going to be another question, so my first purchase deck was actually Oracle deck first. This is after some time. This is in my adulthood. So moving on to the next question. If you could create your own deck, what would it be? I actually thought about this question. It's kind of funny, but it's actually kind of cool. Like, okay, so if I could create a deck, a tarot deck, what would it be? It'd be people who had dreadlocks at all stages, all sizes, all lengths, all thicknesses and thinness, and all different hairstyles. But they'd be riding like Pegasus and dragons, and I think that'd be pretty cool. But I can picture the perfect deck for me would be people of all colors, any color, with dreadlocks and like fae creatures, Pegasus, unicorns, dragons. Alright, next question. So, show us your first deck, whether it's oracle or tarot or one of each, and which is your first that you learned with. Alright, so my first deck. The first deck that I actually had was the one that my mom gave me. I don't have it. That was just the traditional Rider-Waite. My first deck was actually an oracle deck, the one that I purchased by myself once I became an adult. I'll tell you one thing, the reason why it took me so long to purchase one is I think in between 19 to like 23, somewhere in between there, that's where I actually started trying to go to church. So I was afraid of tarot. I thought that if I touched it, I would like blow up or something. Or like the devil would just come and get me and take me to hell or something right then and there. So anyway, but this was the first deck that I got. What is the name of this deck? Well, I'm going to post it somewhere like around my shoulders or something, the name of this deck. It was really nice. I thought it was very light and feathery, but I thought it was really pretty. I thought it was something that I could relate to. I like the colors in it. I'm going to go ahead and put this up. Alright, so we'll go ahead and move on to our next question. Question number 5. It says, show us your recent deck, oracle, tarot, or recent crystal, and why did they call you? Why were they calling out to you? What called out to me about that crystal or that tarot deck? Okay, so I don't have a lot of crystals. But my husband did give me this tiger's eye crystal, and it's actually like a pendulum here. I think we got it off of Amazon. The reason why this called out to me, there's actually truly is a story behind this one, this tiger's eye. I don't own any other type of tiger's eye, do I? I don't think I do. This is the only tiger's eye that I own. What called out to me is that I had started meditating a lot more, and when I was meditating, sometimes I would get, I guess you'd call them downloads. That's what I called them, downloads, where I'd see images and I would just write them down or whatever. Well, one day I saw this image of this lion's head, a lion's head, and had mangy, like a mangy red wig on. And, you know, I felt like it meant something because it was like the cat, the feline face, and like, but like on a woman's shoulders. That's as far as I can see down. I can still see it in my head sometimes when I close my eyes. But I remember seeing that, and I researched that on the internet trying to figure out what does this image mean and why did I just see that. Turns out I came up with the name Sekhmet. And so I know that Sekhmet's energy is associated with like tiger's eye, or like the crystals that you can use would be like red jasper, I believe, or citrine. That fiery red, a solar plexus, maybe even sacral or root chakra type of energy. And so this tiger's eye just really represented that to me. So that's why I was drawn to this particular crystal. So moving on to which deck. What's my latest deck was the Witching Hour Oracle deck. I was drawn to this deck because I love the colors in it. The purple, the dark purple, it has this beautiful velvet feeling. Now, before I purchased the deck, I didn't know it felt so velvety. But because it was so nice and the images are so beautiful, like, I hope you can see that. You probably can't see that. I'm going to stop. But this card right here, it looks like the Justice, but it's basically, it was representing like the triple goddess and the 3 stages of a woman's life, the maiden, the mother, and the crone. And it also represented different racial backgrounds, you know, not just people of light complexion, people of dark complexion, people wearing hijabs. And I was just attracted to that when I saw this on Kickstarter. It's a beautiful deck altogether, but I go into it more on that video, so I'll let you guys watch that and we'll go on to this next question. Alright, next question. Question number 6. If you could share a tip with someone learning tarot for the first time, what would it be? Get the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, because I did not. The first one that I purchased after I had learned it, years after I had forgotten about tarot and came back into it, was was the Ostara Tarot. And I don't know if you know about that. I've never reviewed it, but the Ostara Tarot, this is the first tarot deck that I actually purchased myself, you know, after becoming an adult. It is very, it's not an easy deck to read with. So it took a lot for me to like learn this, and I thought it was unique because it was different. And I was like, no, I don't want the one that looks like the one that my mom had. I want one that looks like something that Ms. Wheats would have. Well, that was pretty tough. So I forced myself to learn to read with these. But then when I got one of my decks that was more to the original Rider-Waite-Smith tarot decks, which is something like, what is this? I think it's the Golden Nouveau Tarot or something. I can't remember. Like I said, I'll post the name somewhere on the screen or whatever. These look more traditional, and these are a lot easier to learn with. I think everyone says that, so it sounds kind of cliche, but it's true. Get the original tarot deck. Don't get that fancy stuff yet. My second tip would be, not only do you need to like just read the book or the pamphlet that comes with it, that book or pamphlet is just for from the artist's interpretation of what that card means to them, and how it can, like, little extra things that you could pick up from the meaning of that particular card. But I suggest actually purchasing a book, you know, and studying a tarot book over the meanings of the cards just for a little while until you can, like, you know, look at the card without knowing, without having to go back and flip through the book. Anyway, I don't want to make this video, so. Okay, the next question, this is going to be question number 7. Who was the first YouTuber I followed? I don't remember. I don't remember. I could tell you one of the ones that I first fell in love with. Excuse me. The first ones that I fell in love with was, I think it was the Gem Goddess. Yeah, I think it was Gem Goddess. She did, she started off doing picker cards, and I loved picker cards. And she was right almost every time that I did one. Every time that I focused on her cards. You know, if I focused in, like, if I had been meditating like I supposed to have been meditating, I noticed that I would pick the right deck that was meant for me to choose. And I was just kind of, I think I remember being inspired by her the most. So, next question. Let's see. What was life like before tarot or the holistic path for you? And where did I come from? Alright, now that is actually a really long answer, but I kind of answered it in number 1. I did know that there was something different about me and that there was something else on the other side when I would go to church as a young woman when I was in my maybe early 20s. I would go to church, and I did that for like 3 years on my own. I don't come from a family that goes to church. I just decided to go to church on my own because I felt like maybe there was something I was missing. Because I'd see people down south, people like get up and holler and run around the church and stuff. Well, I'll be thinking to myself, like, I must be missing something because I don't have that feeling. Why do I not have that feeling? I went to church for 3 years every Sunday. I even joined the church. I got baptized and everything. I was going to Church of Christ. I felt like I must have missed the train because I didn't get that energy. So I was fine. There was nothing wrong with me. I knew there was something I was missing. Another reason why I knew there was something that I was missing that I wasn't getting in church was the fact that when I was very young, I didn't know at the time it was called astral projection. I think I mentioned this, like I said, in the very first question. I was astral projecting and I didn't know what it was. And after a while I had stopped. But after my mom had passed, I guess I missed her a lot. That was the first night. After about like a month after she passed, I had an astral projection experience. And this was none of this was on purpose. It was just my body was just doing it. I'd be flying out into the cosmos or just floating around my room. Didn't know what it was, but I knew once I started hearing those sounds in the back of my head and I could feel that vibration in my chest, I knew it was about to happen. But anyway, now I'm about to get off subject. That's a whole nother story, by the way. But anyway, what I'm saying is I knew there was something else. I knew there was more to life. And I wasn't sure that me going down the Christian path was going to be me finding it necessarily. But like I said, I started researching more about astral projection, then I learned about chakras, and then I started having keywords like intuition and like psychics, and like heard about meditation, learned how to meditate. Once I learned how to meditate, I, started, it's like one thing after another just snowballed, and then somehow I ended up at tarot. I just can't really tell you where, but like I was fine before tarot, but I knew that there was something missing. So I guess I knew that there was a veil, and I knew the veil was there. Some people don't even know that the veil is there. So for me to can tell that there's a veil here, but I just don't know how to pull it back. Tarot gave me that incentive to be like, yes, there is a veil. I wasn't crazy. And it helped me to pull that veil back so that I can kind of see and get that feeling of what it was I was missing. Not to mention, the first time that I meditated, I felt something. Out of all the years I had went to church, and I wanted to be that one to like run around and have their hands in the air, and I never got it. But the first time I meditated, I can't believe I started hearing the sounds, and I really felt that, what is it? Kundalini. I felt that energy coming. So that's how I knew, like, all this is for something. Tarot, this is really something. And I was hooked from then on. I told you that was going to be a long answer. Next one. Okay, yeah, we're on number 9. What is my favorite go-to spread, or either my top 3 spreads? Okay, I don't really have a favorite go-to spread. I really don't do spreads. I do have a spread book, but I'm so used to just laying out cards And lately I've been doing a lot more forecast readings, and I usually do the forecast for the month. And I only lay out about 6 cards, so I'll do 2 for the beginning, 2 for the middle of the month, and then 2 for the end of the month. I don't know if that's a serious spread or not, but I consider it to be a spread. But the very first spread that I learned to do was the Celtic Cross, like everyone else. Well, I don't think that was like everyone else, besides that 3-card spread, past, present, future, or, you know, mind, body, spirit, however you want to label that 3-card spread. I learned the 3-card spread first, and then I went straight to the Celtic Cross. I actually love the Celtic Cross a lot, but I don't find questions to where I can utilize that spread very often, but I do love the Celtic Cross. And since I've been doing more forecast readings, I just do my little monthly layout with the 6-card spread, 2 at the beginning of the month, 2 in the middle, and then 2 for the end of the month. So those are my most used spreads that I use. Anything else is just straight out of a book. But I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. Just those are my favorite 3. So next question. Hope I don't get lost. Okay. Oh, what's the most anticipated deck of 2020, the year ahead? This is a timeless question, actually. Besides the fact that one day I might create a deck of my own, talking about the unicorns and the dreadlocks. I don't really know. I haven't even been looking on Kickstarter or anything. I think I'm looking into that Wizard's Tarot. I know it's already out. That's already out, so I mean, but I want to have it in my hands, in my deck, in my collection, because I don't have the Witch's Tarot. I don't have any of the Witch's Oracle or anything like that, but I do want the Wizards yeah, that's it. I really don't have a lot of, maybe I should have looked on Kickstarter before I did the video, but I love a lot of different types of decks. But like I said, my top one most anticipated deck would be if I ever came out with my own decks with like different people rocking dreadlocks, riding dragons. That would be my stuff right there. So, all right. Next question. Let's see. What were your impressions or fears about tarot? I actually kind of answered that as well. I was afraid of tarot because I thought that I was gonna open up some portal to some hell that somebody was going to drag me to, I was going to never get out of. I was kind of afraid of it because I knew that it wasn't like acceptable. I knew it wasn't acceptable. Psychics, fortune telling, which I really don't like that word, fortune telling. Ugh, it like makes my skin crawl every time somebody says that word. Oh, you fortune telling? Like, my fear about it is just being judged when people find out, or if people know that I do tarot, you know, people look at you differently. They look at you either like you're crazy, or like, oh, you're fun, or, oh, you can come to my next party, or, oh, you must worship the devil as well. You know, I think that's just my experience. That's what I experience. Those are my fears. That's my current fear. Is when people learn that I do tarot who don't understand it. All right, next question. Okay. All right, so this is question number 14. Have you ever gotten a reading from another reader, and what were your feelings towards it? I've got a reading from another reader. No one on YouTube, of course. My very first reading that I got was not by my mother. I was actually I live in Tennessee, so I was on Bill Street. And there was a psychic lady that was at the end of Bill Street. And I thought, you know, I wasn't drunk or anything, but it was my 21st birthday. That's what I went down there for. And I remember going down there, when I went inside, I thought, like, this is not spooky at all. I thought this was going to be some spooky stuff going on. I went in there, and she gave me a palm reading. She was dead on. She knew what she was doing. She was dead on. She knew stuff that she couldn't possibly have known. And from then on, like, all those things just snowballed into me, like, really being intrigued by tarot altogether. Anyway, that was the first reading I got. And that wasn't a tarot reading. That was a palm reading. But it opened up the doorway. It helped further open up the doorway subconsciously to me leading up to reading tarot and doing what I do now. So, my first tarot reading, it was just by a friend of mine who's also into tarot. Sometimes it'd be okay. It would be pretty good. I noticed that she was actually better at reading other people besides me. I don't know what that was, but it say if I would be like, hey, I did a reading for someone and this is the situation that I know so far, this is what I came up with, do you mind double checking behind me and seeing how, you know, and she would do really good. She'd come up with some stuff that I did not tell her about the person that I read for, but I knew of because I knew that person personally. So she was pretty good at it. So how did I feel about it? It's pretty good, but for some reason, I don't know if it's like when I do a reading for myself, it doesn't go very well. Still don't know what that's about. I think a lot of tarot readers have that issue. And at the same time, whenever she did a reading for me, I guess because we were close, you know, sometimes it just didn't, sometimes it resonated and sometimes it didn't really resonate. So it had to be with a complete stranger. I feel like was when I got like the best readings. Next question. All right, so what kind of vibes do you like to feel when getting a reading? So I would prefer to get a reading from somebody with a little bit of oomph and not none of that, no offense to anybody who is, but like love and rainbows and woo, sprinkles and sparkles. I love sprinkles and sparkles. I got it all over my face right now. But I prefer to get a reading from somebody who's like, yeah, you need to probably stop doing this right here. I think you need to, you know, stuff like that. Yada, yada, yada. I prefer to get a reading from somebody who's going to be a little bit of heaviness, a little bit of darkness, a little bit of the light and the dark in them. So I feel like that would be an honest, true reading for me. Yeah, so I guess it's time for me to tag another YouTuber in this reading. The Tarot Tribe tag. That was my tag. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, then give it a thumbs up. Ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.